Okay, so today I'm going to cover some common do's and don'ts with positive reinforcement training and teaching calm default. So what calm default is the horse maintaining a position so they're not coming into your space and mugging you. Um, so this horse, I haven't used positive reinforcement training at all. This is his first time, but he's a Mustang and he has been domesticated and he's been given treats by his person before, just by hand feeding and treats and um, cuddling and that kind of thing. And I personally don't do that because I don't like a muggy horse that gets distracted by food. So I only give treats or feed by hand when I'm training. So otherwise I give them scratches and rubs and things like that. So I'm going to teach you how to not have a muggy horse. This is Paz, and he's already been domesticated. He's been started under saddle. He's here for a restart and further training. So, really important that you pick the right treat. Um, with a horse so this guy is going to be your typical, going to want to mug you, super excited about food kind of horse. And so, with a domestic horse or a Mustang that's already domesticated, this is how I would start them. And I start them with, I like to use chunks of cubes. Like I'll break them off so they're chunks because it takes them longer to eat. So they're not getting anxious about it because I want to keep them constantly chewing in the beginning. So one of the big mistakes people do is they will reach in and grab the treat before they do a click or anything like that. Treats stay in your pouch. It's okay to have your pouch open if you want, but you don't want to grab the treat before they do whatever it is that you want them to do. And then another mistake is that they give them the treat close to their body. It should always be given away from your body this way. It should never be given close to your body or when the horse is seeking it. So the way that he's standing right now, I wouldn't give him a treat. So I want them, he's kind of to the side, but I want them, their head straight when I give them a treat. If you have a really muggy horse, it's okay if they turn their head away a little bit, but you have to be careful with that because then they think that they're always supposed to turn their head away. And I want them to maintain their head straight, and even if they want to arch it a little bit, you can shape that behavior. But to start, their head should be straight. They shouldn't be, see how he's kind of sniffing? He can smell my food. He's already sniffing because all he's been done before is just given treats because he's cute. And that's creates a muggy horse. And so whenever you have treats, so we're going to help him learn to have some self-control. And one of the first things you want to do if you have a horse like this is they should always be chewing for a while until they start to learn some control. They should always be chewing. So you've got to be pretty quick. So first I'm going to click and then I'm going to treat. So my hands are here. I don't have any food. And I would like to do it on this side because I'm going to reach over here. So he's not looking at this hand. So I'm going to click and then I'm going to reach my hand out and this is where the treat is given. Okay? If they get bitey, I will not let them have it until they settle a little bit, and then I will push it into their mouth. So I will push the food into their mouth because then they can't really bite. And then before he's done chewing, I'm going to do it again. So I want to keep him chewing constantly so he's not having anxiety about the food at this stage. Another really good tool to use on a domestic horse that is not afraid of you, is already taking food from your hand, if you want to start positive reinforcement, is to have a target. And I'll grab my target and I'll show you what that is as well. But this is the biggest. He's turned his head away a little bit and then I'll click and treat. So I don't want to ever click him when he's facing me or when he's trying to mug me. So I'm going to go ahead and let him finish chewing and then show you what I would do if they start looking for food at me, because that's what he's going to do now, because now he knows I have food. He knows he's getting food from me, so he's going to want to seek it. But you see how much he's chewing? That's why I use the cubes. You can use pellets too. Larger pellets are good. I would steer clear of anything that's high reward. So carrots, apples, treats with sugar in them, anything that they get really excited about, I would stay away from that. So now, so you see how he's kind of looking at me. He's already walked forward a little bit. So I don't want to punish this horse, okay? He's kind of got some fly stuff. I'm going to wait until he, like some flies are bugging him, even though I've fly sprayed him a bunch. We have some really like awful cow flies. So you see how he's sniffing on me? I'm not going to do anything. If anything, I might turn away. And then when he looks away is when I will reward that behavior. So if he starts to sniff me, I'll just turn away. And then until he moves his head away and he presents something I can reward. So he'll start to correlate that when he turns his head away. I'm going to back him up a little. When he turns his head away, that's when he gets a treat, or when he's straight, not when he is trying to mug me. And then always away from my body. I don't ever want to give it here, away from my body. So that's like a lot of common mistakes that I see people make with positive reinforcement is they use too high of a food reward. This is not the case for a wild horse that you're trying to incorporate positive reinforcement with, because those ones you want to use high reward type treats because they already don't want to be near you. So you want to use what they really like. But a horse that's domesticated already, that maybe has some muggy behavior, and see he's not done chewing yet, so I'm gonna that's when I want to keep him. When we're doing a session, I want to keep him doing that. I will end a session when I run out of treats. That's a really good positive reinforcement session, and so you can incorporate it with your regular training. But these are the common things that I see. People end up creating these muggy horses, and it's because of when you're giving the treat, how you're giving the treat, and what position the animal's in when you give that treat. So I will go ahead and grab my target so I can show you how we're going to incorporate that. And I'm going to go ahead and use a higher reward so we can see if I can create some muggy behavior to show you how I would handle that. Okay, so this is a target, and you can get these. I got these off Amazon, Karen Pryor's website. You don't have to buy a target like this. I mean, you can make one if you wanted. Anything that has something on the end and I don't know, about 2 feet here is a nice target length. I've used a Swiffer duster before as a target, so which worked. You just want something that's very clear that they're going to target with their nose. The reason that we do this is super handy, like if they're spooky at something and you want to tell them target something with their nose, or just to kind of learn to correlate and reinforce this training of positive reinforcement where they have to learn about a marker. So where I click and treat, and that he learns that when he does a behavior, that's how he's gonna, when he does the right behavior, I get a click, he gets a click and a treat. So this is kind of solidifying the yes, I call it the yes button, where he's like, you know, and I go, yes, that's right. And then that's what the click means. Yes, yes, yes. So instead of a lot of negative reinforcement where we have like no, so we, you know, pull on a rein and he pulls away and I'm like, no, 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 that's it. And then he gives to it and then I release. It's a little bit different. So I have a very clear yes button, which can be really handy. Instead of saying no, 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 and then, okay, you get no pressure and release when you get it right. You can do both. I am not an advocate of saying that this is the only way or this is the best way, or that I just found like I'm going to use as many different tools as I possibly can to get the results that I want, to help my horse understand what I'm asking them better. So whatever I can do, whether that's negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, or something else that I don't even know about yet, I'm going to do it. So I don't like to pigeonhole myself. I feel like that is a discredit and disservice to my horse, and I'm not really into that. So I'm going to use this target. I'm going to present the target, and because it's interesting and different, most horses will want to look at it and they'll boop it with their nose, and that's what I wanted. I have a higher value treat this time that he really, really likes, and so I'm going to try to get some kind of muggy behavior out of him. So I will present the target, hopefully not scare my horse, present the target, and he'll learn. You can get him to follow it, the target, so I can get him to walk forward and follow the target. Let's see, away from my body. And so like he already kind of is getting the idea of this, so I'm going to put it a little more forward and see if I can get him to walk forward and hit that target. They really like this game. So they really, really like this game. So he came toward me, but my hand went away, right? So now this time I'm going to let him completely finish the food, and I'm not going to present the target or do anything, and see if he gets muggy behavior. And then I can show you what I would do about it. So he's like, oh, that's some really good food. I really like that. He wants to sniff me, and I'm going to ignore him. And when he looks away is when I'm going to click and treat. So he's getting excited about that. The little spook is not a fear thing. It's he's getting excited about all of this. So when they start doing that, this gives me an opportunity to work on calm default, which is him staying like that. So you could tell, like, very different from the other food, like how excited he is. He's even getting a little jumpy. He's really excited about this food. And I would normally not. So if I have a horse that's responding this way, I want to find a lower value treat. So he's doing really good, but you see how I wait until right before he wants to get muggy, and I reward the behavior that I like, which is standing straight. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's kind of been moving a lot. So he's already picking up on it. Ooh, if I stay like this, I'm going to get something, which is really good. So now I'm just going to act like I'm, you know, talking to my friend or whatever, and I completely forgot that I have a horse attached to me, and he's going to get muggy, right? He's going to start looking for this food. He's really smart. He's already picking up on, ooh, I don't get it if I mug her. And see, you don't want to hit him. You don't want to hit him or I guess what we usually do, right? We push him away, or that's bad. And you don't want to do any of that stuff. So I'm going to give him the lower value treat, so he kind of will relax and settle down a little bit. So if I were training positive reinforcement and I had a horse that's domesticated, that was that excited about the food, a little different with a wild horse, because they won't be muggy to you. If they do, then you're going to treat them like a domestic horse. I wouldn't use that treat. I would pick a different treat. If I have a horse that's being really, like, he's already getting super excited, he's struggling, concentrating, you know, he's actually even being a little spooky, and he's not a spooky horse, and that's because he's getting super excited about this higher value treat, I wouldn't use that treat. So he's kind of looking at me, and I would go back to using another treat and just get rid of that one, because I want him to be able to stay focused. Okay, so why use positive reinforcement, or how? Like, what's the point, right? Like, what's the end goal? So he's kind of creeping up on me. I'll ask him to back up, and then I'll reward that. Like, how do you use it? So, like, okay, we know click treat, right? Calm default. He needs to stand. He keeps kind of creeping up on me, so I'm gonna just really back him up. So I reward that. I can't see the camera, so what I would want to do is, so he kind of is creeping up on me. Now he's walking over there. Let's bring him back over here. Okay, so like, why use it? What's the point? So I'll just show you, because we're kind of close here, is you want to be able to tell him yes when he does something right. So let me teach him to, like, lower his head, right? So I'll get rid of my target. So I'm going to teach him to lower his head by putting my hand here behind his neck, and I'll pull down on the halter a little bit, and he lowered his head, so I'll go click, and then I will treat. Okay? That's how you use it in training. Once they give you the yes, then you click and you treat, and away from your body. So I'll ask him again, behind his ear. I'd like him to drop his head. Perfect. So the minute he drops his head, I click, and then I treat. Sorry, I'll wait a second because somebody is... Okay, So like if I were desensitizing him, right, swinging the rope, desensitizing him, and I don't want him to move out of frame, so I'm not gonna do it. But if I was desensitizing him and he stopped flinching, I would click and treat. So then he would know that that's what I'm trying to reward. So very nice. Click and then treat. And away from my body. And then we'll just go right back into it. Very nice. So he'll start to really understand that, oh, this is what you want, and that's how I get a treat, right? So I'll put my hand here. There you go. Good boy. And you see how quick you have to be? You have to be so quick to get this back out so that they don't start getting muggy. Now, when he's had this really well established, I can be slower because giving the treat, because I'm trying to help him be successful and not be muggy to me, right? But as later on, I don't have to be quite that fast. He'll know to hold the position until I give him the treat, and then he will also learn, that's a big one, it's gonna take him a second. He'll also learn that he doesn't always get a treat when I click. The click itself will be the reward and make him feel all good, warm, fuzzy. And that's a little bit later on. So you don't always have to give them a treat. And that gets really, when you're at that stage, gets really handy when you're doing something under saddle. So I'm gonna put my hand here. If he doesn't want to respond, then I just back it up with my, so you see how he's coming into me here? I'm not gonna treat here. I'm gonna wait. It's like he's a little close to me until he's kind of back in position, and then I'll click and treat again, even though I had already clicked, because he was getting kind of muggy. So here, how he's sniffing me, that's when I click and treat, when he looks away. So that's how you combat it. You should work on this calm default every single day that you are doing positive reinforcement, and make sure that this is well established. They should never be muggy. If you're pushing away, you're completely ruining the whole point of doing positive reinforcement. So he wants to get muggy. He's thinking about it. He doesn't quite know what he's supposed to do here. He's getting a little anxious. So I'm not going to click and treat until he settles down a little bit. There, he looked away. Now I'm going to give him the food that takes him a little longer to eat, because I don't want to create anxiety in the training. So, especially when you're initially doing this, they should not have a lot of time not chewing something. You see how much more relaxed when he is chewing something? So just him being in the position, I can also reward it. I don't have to necessarily reward him doing a behavior like I just asked him to lower his head there. Like, I can also just reinforce that he's looking that way and not on top of me. So I hope that helps. That's a lot of common mistakes that I've seen people make. And thanks for watching.